about in the workplace when you're trying to fulfill everyday tasks at work? How would you like things to change to make them more accessible?
I think things like the flexibility. There's some things like flexi time, being able to start your day at a different day, or if you know, I'm quite anything that causes processing will cause me to get fatigued. So small events going on in my life, or if I start to come down with a cold, the fatigue will hit me doubly to what it might anyone else, and that has quite considerable effects on my ability to actually process things. If I know that I can say to my boss, hey, look, you know, I'm not right today. They can usually hear it in my speech as well, to be fair. You know, can I catch up later? I take the rest I need, you know, or I work from home and I can do small blocks with rest breaks between them and quality rest breaks between them too. I think the biggest problem I have with the wider world is the lack of spaces where you can actually like lie down, block out light, and just literally give your brain a complete break for 5 minutes, you know. And if you can take them mini power naps, then actually you can be much more productive during the day, and it's a really powerful way of managing it. But especially where disability is not that visible, people struggle to understand it, and I think it gets classed as laziness, or you know, just not being that mentally tough. Well, you know, before my accident I did a lot of work. This fatigue is different to tiredness. It's very, very different. In some ways I'm lucky in the fact that people can see that, like, my walking and my movement gets worse with it, my speech gets worse with it, and my processing gets a little bit delayed. You know, on the other hand, that's an absolute pain for me, but what it means is that other people can get a small insight. Now, if I had a condition where literally my brain just turns to fuzz and I've got no chances of concentrating, I guess, into that situation, you know, there's no visual signs other than someone seeming a bit daydreamy. I think that would be even more difficult to manage in the workplace, and I think you could see quite a lot of bias from you, like, you know, and a lot of disbelief, and just like, you need to put a socks up or whatever. So yeah, I think, you know, with my disability, I'm lucky in a sense that although it's fairly invisible, it's not completely invisible with the brain and processing side of things. But yeah, it's a really tough thing to manage, and I think it's probably one of the things, like fatigue and chronic conditions, are one of the tougher things to manage in the workplace, because things like so if you have so much time off sick, it starts a disciplinary, whereas actually if you've got a chronic condition, if you take a half day off sick, you can, you know, so if you do the half day really early on, that's 2 weeks of absence that you've prevented by taking that. But you may need to take that more regularly than most people, and things like just appointments, the management, going to the doctors, going to the physios and things. Again, you know, you don't want to tell your bosses your entire life story, but I think, you know, occupational health, and especially in a bigger company, and if you're in a role that can manage some flexi time, you know, then certain amounts of work, I think, could be much more self-organized and trusted to that individual. Because but yeah, it's difficult for those that are plain lazy, although I don't think there's as many as there are, to take advantage of that, which I think is probably the biggest barrier to that, if that makes sense.